Hi everyone, thank you so much for clicking on this video and thank you so much for checking out my channel, Let's Be Real. You've already read the title of this video, so you know what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about what it was like growing up alongside foster children, as well as what it was like watching my parents work for the foster care system. So as a little backstory so you know where I'm coming from, my sister and I, my biological sister and I, were not foster kids. We were our parents' biological children, but my mother wanted to be a stay-at-home mom while also bringing in an income, so she decided to be a foster parent as well. Now, I want to put out a little disclaimer before I really get into this video. Nothing I say in this video is in any way meant to encourage or unencourage anybody from becoming a foster parent, joining the system, putting their children in foster care, or any of the above. This is simply my own experiences, my opinions, my current beliefs. Again, just to recap, I was not personally in foster care. My mother became a foster parent when I was a baby, and they kept doing it until I was 12 years old. So some of the things I talk about today might have changed since then. I'm going to be honest, I would be surprised if I heard that they were, but maybe they were. I don't know. These are, again, just my experiences from when my parents were foster parents when I was a little kid. So what was it like? It was normal for us, along with my sister and I, to have anywhere from 2 to 3 to 4 foster care kids as well as us in the house at one time. So you can imagine it was always really loud, really hectic, it was messy, there were toys and kids of all ages all over the house, and my parents lived out in the country on 20 acres that they shared with my grandparents. So we had this big yard, and we had we had this space. I'll say that we had this space for this enormous family. Now I say that, but the point of the foster care system is not for you to adopt the child the vast majority of the time. It's a temporary stay. So we had a multitude of different children that come through our house at one point or another. So it was very normal for me to have some new siblings for now, and then they would leave, they'd go back home to another family, back to the facility, whatever the case may be, and then I'd get new siblings. And that was fun. I liked it as a little kid. I always had new people to play with. It was really, really loud and just exciting, and my sister and I happened to be homeschooled through most of that. I was homeschooled up until 7th grade. My sister was homeschooled up until 5th grade. That will be another video all of its own. So anyway, even though we were homeschooled, we did get that kind of socialization as young kids through all these different foster care kids that we got to meet. So that's just kind of a little bit of a backstory, how it was like. It was stressful. There was a lot of fighting, and you have to know, not all, another disclaimer, not all, but most foster care kids in the system are in the system because they are troubled. They have their own issues, be it psychological or health issues, or just behavioral issues or family issues. Whatever the case may be, they were in the system because they needed help. They needed some sort of rehabilitation, for lack of a better word, with the family. That's what the family was meant to do, was to kind of show these kids what a quote-unquote normal house is supposed to look like, what a quote-unquote normal family was supposed to act. That was our purpose in foster care. So what I really, really want to talk about today, though, is the foster care system. How it works, how it treated us as a family, and that sort of thing. And again, these things could be different today. I doubt that they are, but if I'm wrong, please put it down in the comment section. Tell me if you grew up in foster care, if your family was a foster care family, what your experiences were like. Please share it with me so that I can be better informed on this topic. That being said, here are my opinions. My mother had to fight for any kind of help. I really think that the foster care system sets up its families for failure. It doesn't want to help the families. It doesn't look out for them. It was really, really frustrated, and even as a really, really young kid, I saw that. And the older I got, the more I saw, and now looking back on it, it was just crazy. Now, like I said, we lived out in the country, so it was at least a 45-minute to an hour drive to the city. And my mom, it seemed every day, was going back and forth for therapy appointments, doctor's appointments, medication refills, family visits, all sorts of she was just running just crazy back and forth all the time. And she had to fight the system just to get herself gas money, just to make them realize that she was doing all this driving for her work as a foster parent. She deserved to be paid gas money to help her, because that was really, really expensive. It was hard. And that's just one example of a time when my mom, for lack of a better example, had to grow a backbone, really, to be a foster parent. She had to fight for herself. She had to fight for her own kids. She had to fight for her foster kids. And we just didn't get the help that we needed. We just didn't. We had to, another thing I want to talk about are the caseworkers. Now, these are social workers who come to the house to make sure that the family is taking good care of the children, to check up on the children's behavioral, to check on the children's behavioral growth and that sort of thing. Make sure that they were being taken care of, and this was a very, very important job. Now, it was impossible for us to find a good caseworker. And when I say that, I mean a caseworker that not only was looking out for the best interest of the child, because that's most important, that is hands down most important, that child is being taken care of. But it was so impossible to find a caseworker who could do that and helped us. Because it always seemed like they came here and they were like, oh, it's like they made us, it was like us against them. That's a good way to put it. It was like it was us as a family and foster parents against the child and the caseworker. Because I'll be honest with you guys, a lot of those foster kids were liars. That was one very, very common trait amongst some of these troubled children, just like with all troubled children, whether they're in foster care or not. So they would tell these caseworkers lies about us. They would say my dad was hurting them. They would say just all sorts of crazy things that were not true. And now the caseworker obviously has to believe the child to some point. They have to look into these things, make sure it's not true, make sure that's not happening, make sure that the child is safe. Again, first and foremost, it's very important. But a lot of these caseworkers, they were not foster parents of themselves. A lot of them, I don't even know if they were actually parents at all. And they would just feed into these lies, and they would feed into like, well, the kid says they're doing great and that they're behaving and that they're a good kid. And they wouldn't want to take our account into their decisions with the child. They didn't want to work with us, and that was really, really hard. We were really, really fortunate to eventually find one absolutely amazing caseworker who was a foster parent of her own. She had her own children, and she could ride that fine, really, really difficult line of looking out for the child's best interest, and in doing so, working with the foster family, working with what can we do to better help mold these children? What are better disciplinary actions? What are better rewards? What's so on and so forth? What is a better structure for that child's life? So it really made a big difference when we finally found this particular caseworker who would actually help us. Another thing I want to talk about, something that I think is just really, really wrong and evil, is I don't know what they term it. I term it the ranking system in foster care. So what they do is they rank children 1 through 3. 1 being the most well-behaved children. With the like they're not liars, they don't steal, they don't hurt animals, they don't fight, whatever the case may be. They decide this child is ranked 1. Rank 3, on the other hand, is the quote-unquote worst kid. So they might steal, they might kill animals, they might, whatever the case may be, they're just a very, very troubled child. They need the most help, the most therapy, whatever their caseworker and their professional help decides that they are going to require. I'll be totally honest with you guys. If you are a foster parent and you are trying to make any kind of substantial living off of being a foster parent, even just enough to pay for the food for up to 6 children, you have to go with the rank 3 children. You get paid more based on the rank that child is given. Which, on one hand, okay, if you're a family who takes the children most in need, I think that's a good way to put it. The children who need stability and structure and a good family the most, you make more money off of them. Versus a child who maybe doesn't need so much help. Maybe they just need a home to live in for a time, and they don't need maybe therapy or medication. You don't get paid as much. And I just feel like it's a really twisted kind of system. I just think it's wrong. But another issue we ran into is we would get children who say we're ranked 1, who were supposed to be, the caseworker would come to us and say, well, he says he's a perfect person. He doesn't steal, doesn't lie, is super nice, is just a perfect person. That's what he, as a foster child, says. That's what I believe. He's ranked 1. So this kid would come into our house and we're expecting, great, it's going to be an easy child. They don't need as much help, as much guidance or supervision. And then we learned that that's not true. With every foster kid we had come into the house, there would be a sort of perfect period. Now, I'm not trying to be offensive in any way to anything that I say in this video. Again, another disclaimer, I'm just giving my personal opinions based on my experiences. These children would appear perfect for about the first, it depended on the child, about a month to 2 months that they lived with us, where they would just kind of completely just behave perfectly. And this is totally understandable. I think all children are that way in a new environment. They're kind of testing the waters, they're kind of seeing how things work here, and so on and so forth. And then after that, what we always said their kind of true colors showed, is they'd begin to be more comfortable, they'd start breaking some rules, they'd start pushing the boundaries to see what they could get away with. And these children who came to our house as ranked 1 might kill one of our chickens when we weren't around. Or they might steal my mom's purse if we weren't watching them. Or it's some kind of thing like that. So mom will go back to the caseworker and say, you did not give us a fair understanding of what kind of help this child would need in our house. They're doing all these things you said they didn't do. They're a very, I don't want to say difficult child, because again, I'm not trying to be offensive in any way. These foster care kids, 9 out of 10 times they were amazing people and they grew up to be wonderful people. But my mom would have to tell the social worker, the caseworker, this child needs way more help than you told me that they needed. And she would have to fight to get them ranked 3rd or 2nd, wherever they fell on that spectrum, so that they could get the help that they needed, she could get the money she needed in order to help them. And it was just a constant battle of, no matter what, these kids came in with their rank, which I don't like. It was supposed to help us, but it didn't. It didn't give us any kind of warning as to what this child was going to need from us. I'm going to try to kind of wrap this video up here. Again, we stopped foster care when I was 12 years old. My family was a lot happier after we finished foster care. It was just, there was so much stress on all of us, from my parents to my sister and I as well. It was really, really hard. And while my parents did so much good, and my mom and my dad were amazing, amazing foster parents. They did so much good. They helped so many kids. And I'm so glad that they did it. Looking back on it, in hindsight, I know they helped people. They helped families. I'm so glad that they did it. But that being said, I myself, personally, will never be a foster parent. I don't think I can do it again. I don't think I'm strong enough to be a parent of children who need that much extra help. It's just hard. It's just hard. And again, like I said in the beginning of this video, I don't want to encourage or unencourage anyone from becoming foster parents or putting their children in foster care. These were, again, just my personal experiences. And I think especially for anyone who is thinking about going into foster care, putting their children into foster care, and so on, these are things you have a right to know. And I think you just need to understand that it is a really hard profession. It's really, really difficult, and you're going to have to fight for yourself. You're going to have to fight for yourself and those kids at every turn. So again, I'm going to try to wrap this video up here. If you guys want a part 2, if you have any questions, if there's anything else you think I should cover more, please, please, please let me know down in the comment section. Please like this video. Please let me know what you think. If you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button. Check out what else I have on my channel. More videos are going to be coming soon. I try to upload every single week. So again, just hit that comment section. Let me know what you think. That helps me out so, so much. And that is everything. Bye.